Hey guys, and welcome to the Fish Room. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and today I want to talk about breeding fish, and most specifically line breeding. What is it? How does it work? How do we do it? The ethics involved, and also how fun it can be. Now, if you guys are new here, I breed a lot of aquarium fish, both in my fish room and outdoors in tubs that I set up each summer. And I've been working with fish for a really long time and have developed one strain in particular that we're going to focus on today, and that is my longfin white cloud minnow, which we refer to as a meteor minnow. Now, I'm certainly not unique in having developed a strain like this, but I have been doing it for a long time, and I thought it might be interesting today to take a look at the more typical white cloud, my version of the longfin white cloud, and another version of the longfin white cloud that I got in this week in order to help with my genetic diversity.
So I'm currently editing, and as I was filming all the footage of my white clouds, I thought we might change this video a bit into what it looks like when white clouds are breeding, because in 2 of my 3 tanks of white clouds, they were spawning like crazy, and I thought that you guys might enjoy seeing that and talk a little bit more about the way I have their aquarium set up in order to spawn them. Let's get back to the video.
You see, most wild fish look basically the same, at least in the small fish. With cichlids, there can be a bit of variability, but a white cloud looks like a white cloud looks like a white cloud. And every once in a while you will see some sort of anomaly that'll show up, either a better color, a brighter color, a slightly different color, a better finnage, or sometimes even a body shape anomaly that you may find particularly attractive. And this is when you would line breed to reinforce that trait. Now, what line breeding means is that you take the offspring of the parents and breed it back to the parent. Most often the male fish, although with egg scatterers like these, you can do it in groups, so several males to several females with a bunch of the offspring. And what this does is hopefully passes on that trait to the eventual offspring. You see, as fish breed out, those anomalies are genetically less likely to be prevalent unless you breed them back to the fish that has that anomaly. For instance, in my white clouds, I had strains that had a lot of yellow, and I really liked that yellow, so I kept, every year I moved them outside. I put out 4 to 6 of my very best and some of their babies and breed them back to them. And then over the years, the fins have gotten longer, the yellow's gotten yellower, and they're just a really beautiful strain. Now, other people have focused on other characteristics of the meteor minnow. Some people focusing on the bright red, some people trying to get the really long finnage. But for me, with yellow being one of my favorite colors, that's what I wanted to focus on. Now, over the years, I have added quite a few of other people's strains into my mix just for genetic strength and diversity, because when you line breed, it's essentially inbreeding. And what that means is, since you're breeding the babies back to the parents continuously, sometimes you'll see things like bent spines or things that you don't want to reinforce in your genetic population, and those fish should be removed. Now, there's certainly nothing wrong with them. You can put them into their own aquarium, share them with other people, give them away, whatever you like, but they shouldn't be kept in the breeding population because those traits can also be passed on. Now, there's lots of aquarium fish that are bred for traits that are popular, but in my mind, not desirable. For instance, I don't like the balloon body fish. I don't like any fish that looks as though it has not enough room for its organs, or has a difficult time swimming, or anything that impedes the natural functions of a fish are sort of problematic to me. But as with everything in this life and in this hobby, you can like what you like.
And this is what I like. This is my line bred strain of Ptenichthyes albanubes, or meteor minnows, and they're housed in a 15-gallon aquarium, short side out, that is absolutely stuffed with various mosses and liverworts and basically any sort of super dense plants that I can find. You can sex white clouds in that the males generally have longer and brighter fins. The females are a bit more drab, bigger bodied. Usually it's pretty easy to tell from a relatively small size. And you can see in this aquarium that there is literally fry everywhere. And that's because the bottom 2/3 of this aquarium is, again, stuffed chock full with super dense plants. White clouds are very easy to breed. I find them to be easiest to breed when you're feeding them a good diet of either frozen or small live foods, things like Daphnia or Cyclops or things like that, even baby brine shrimp. Keeping them well fed and actively spawning makes them less prone to eating their eggs. Now, indoors, they're much more likely to eat their eggs than they are outside. Outside, they almost never predate on anything. You can see here some males sparring. The way that they spawn is the males will spar to try and attract the attention of the female, which then they lure into the weeds where she deposits their eggs. The boys fertilize them, and then in a couple of days, the eggs hatch. And when the eggs hatch, the fry are super teeny and tend to stick really, really close to the plants or the sides of the glass. But after about a week, they are out and about in the aquarium, as you can see here. Even the tiniest of fry are being completely ignored. So this makes this a really great breeding project for the new hobbyist. Not to mention, these guys are a Cares fish. They're not found in the wild anymore. They're super beautiful, relatively affordable, and they're really fun to work with line breeding. So this is the new line I picked up this week, and you can see that they're very different from mine and that there's a lot more attention to reinforcing the red in these, and their fins are substantially longer. Now, I focus most of my effort in the overall coloration of the fish, but these guys are absolutely stunning, and I think crossing them with mine is going to produce a really, really beautiful fish. Now, I'll continue to maintain my original colony as well because I'm very attached to them, but I think that we could also improve it by adding some of the genetics from these guys. So I'll be maintaining separate tubs of all these various fish. That way I can preserve my line and also work on improving it without losing all the work I put into it over the years. Now, again, these fish are absolutely stunning, and even just a few days into being in my fish room, they're already sparring and spawning, and the boys are showing off to each other, trying to entice the female into those weeds. They're laying eggs, and I expect that I'll start seeing fry soon, which just makes this so much more fun. Now, at some point, I'll pick one of their males and put it with probably two of my females and start breeding those and see what the offspring looks like and work from there. But that's going to take a bit because even though these come from a breeder and they're obviously super healthy, I want to make sure that I quarantine and observe them for at least a month of health before I mix them in with my fish. Plus, it'll be fun to expand this colony a bit before I get started on the new project. That way I can make sure I maintain it for the long term. Now, I don't find white clouds to be very picky about water at all. These are kept in my tap water that has a GH of 6, a KH of 7, a TDS of about 100, and they're kept in just room temperature, which in this part of the fish room is about 72, 73 degrees Fahrenheit. I feed them daily. Even the tanks with the fry, I don't feed particularly heavily. I just make sure I feed a really protein-rich, good quality diet.
So the hope is with my new white clouds that I got this week that I will be able to add some more length of fin and some more red to the nose and body to my fish that have the bright yellow fins. We'll have to see how that goes, most likely next summer, but I'm pretty excited about it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Would you like to see more projects like this and their eventual offspring? I know that historically my more sciencey stuff doesn't always do very well, but I have to tell you, it makes my inner geek sing to do these projects as well as share them with you. But as always, I want to hear from you guys. Thanks as always for your continued support.